Want to have a great show for you today. As usual, welcome aboard Lee Grant from Montgomery County, El Senor Michael Rutnan from Brooklyn, New York. We've got Paul Fleming from Atlanta, Georgia, Yvette Avery Herod, Atlanta, Georgia, Deb Denny. I forget where you're from, Deb. I'm gonna fake it and say Michigan, but I could be wrong. It could be Indiana. Let me know, Deb Denny. I got to focus that into the head. We also have here. Okay, we don't have our full plethora of people quite yet, though we got it on the other networks as well. Anyway, folks, come on in. Let's see. Let's get busy. I see, Michael, this is a long one, but you know what? Let me tell you why I want to read that long one. I generally don't want to read long ones, but I want to read this because of the subject. So let's go ahead and do that. Egberto, pardon the long post, but I hope Bloomington, Indiana. I thought it was Indiana. I did say Indiana, right? Thank you very much, Dev. Egberto, pardon the long post, but I hope you can read the snippets of the article in full. Texas Monthly. Why did Greg Abbott pardon a racist murderer? The governor did offer much of a rationale in granting clemency to Daniel Perry, who killed a Black Lives Matter protester in 2020. But apparently the enemy of his enemy is his friend, Garrett Foster, a 28-year-old white man, an Air Force veteran from a conservative family who was sympathetic to the protest, carried an AK-47 style rifle to a rally downtown Austin, as is legal in Texas, with the stated goal of protecting other marchers, including his longtime girlfriend, Danielle Perry, a 30-year-old white man and Army sergeant who was driving for Uber that night, ran a red light and drove his car into the crowd. He was also legally carrying a gun. Foster, sensing a potential threat, approached Perry's car. Perry, seeing a man with a rifle, also sensed a potential threat. At this point, both men were fully in compliance with Texas gun laws, which makes those laws seem pretty silly in retrospect. When you have this many armed men running around, what do you expect is going to happen? Perry told officers that he was the first to point his gun to police. Perry said, I believe he was going to aim his rifle at me. I didn't want to give him a chance. In other words, he was not claiming the right to self-defense. He was claiming the right to preemptively kill someone he thought might become a threat. The court released records showing that Perry used racist language, compared protesters to monkeys in a zoo, and had fantasized for weeks about shooting a protester at a Black Lives Matter rally. I might have to kill a few people on my way to work, he wrote once. Another time, I might go to the Dallas to shoot looters. He flirted online with teenagers. He reminisced about the time he shot an Afghan in the chest with a .50 caliber, adding that they are not real people. My God. His other messages reveal a man who was angry, alienated, and conspiratorial. He wrote that he believed the Black Lives Matter movement wanted his parents to lose their 4-bedroom house by giving it to a poor black family. Given all the ugliness Perry spewed before committing murder, one might think Abbott would have second thoughts about offering clemency. I think the situation is now worse than that, at least for red states with open carry laws, as Governor Abbott's decision to pardon sets this new standard. Kill any armed protester. Amazing, isn't it? I can't believe it myself. Anyhow, let's see who else has joined us. Paul Fleming says, effective tax rates before and after Trump tax law. Verizon before was 21%. After tax law, 8%. Walmart before, 31%. After, 17%. AT&T before, 13%. After, 3%. Disney before, 26%. After, 8%. FedEx, 18%. After, 1%. This is what a corporate giveaway looks like. And Paul Fleming nails it, as he always does. Michael Ryan says, Paul, meantime, Biden tries to establish a 15% minimum corporate tax rate. I mean, even that is way lower than it should. But when you compare it to what Trump did, sad. All right. Lee Grant says, MTG, Jasmine, and AOC go ghetto in Congress. No, MTG got ghetto in Congress. AOC and Crockett defended themselves. All right. Lee, personal attacks aren't supposed to be permitted in Congress, can only lead to a hostile workplace, resulting in even more gridlock. Dev Denny, yes, I know now. Bloomington, Indiana. Bloomington, Indiana. Got it. Eric Hayes says kind of like Roger Dangerfield treatment for Mr. B. No respect. Morehouse grads turned their backs on Biden, walk out of ceremony, and it was just a few of them. Most people enjoyed having the president there. Of course, the other side is going to blow that up. But no, most of the people at Morehouse sat down and took on the president's speech just fine. All right, the Department of Transportation regulated junk fees. Airline are suing. The CFPB cap credit card fees. Banks are suing. Medicare is negotiating drug prices. Pharma is suing. The FTC banned non-competes. Business groups are suing. Corporate America can't stand government working for the people. And remember if you didn't listen to my show this morning, the one thing I said is remember. And that's the reason why the Republican wants to control the courts, because they can go against democracy. If they own the courts, when the corporations say that law is unconstitutional, then the courts just rules it's unconstitutional, and it doesn't matter about the president or the Congress passing a particular law. And the only recourse for that is impeaching judges. Only recourse. Mike Cisak says MTG was right, though. MTG was right for talking about somebody's eyelashes. Mike Cisak, you prove everything that we need to know. All right, Lee Grant. Governor Abbott is well within his rights and tradition to offer clemency to anybody. Yes, he is. But it's a bad precedent to set that you release a killer. But anyhow. All right, let's go with E2247 daily updates. Since October 7th, at least 35,562 Palestinians killed, 106 persons more than 226 than day 226, 106 more than day 226. At least 79,652 wounded, 176 persons more than day 226, 115,214 casualties. Equal 508 per day of an estimated 5,385,012 people. That's 2% of the West Bank and Gaza Palestinian population, with 35,562 Palestinians killed. That means 157 per day are killed. 38% are kids and women. Michael Rades Egberto, thanks for reading out the long one. I hope you have time to read it into the situation. Then send a message to your governor for the next show. He won't show, but yes. CSAC says, Paul Fleming, the problem is that government is getting in the way of the laws people use for doing business. That's silly. Government are the people. Our government is the people. Period. E2247. 115,214 casualties, including whole and partial families of Christians who have residential roots in the Gazan area that go back to the time of Christ and John the Baptist. The Israel Defense Force, IDF, says 900,000 Palestinians have left Rafah. 300,000 to 400,000 Palestinians are left in Rafah. All right. Paul Fleming says a worker making $50,000 a year contributes to Social Security with 100% of their income. A CEO making $20 million a year contributes to Social Security with less than 1% of their income. You said 1%, way less than 1%. Who agrees it's time to scrap the cap? I do. Let's see. No, Crockett didn't start it. Marjorie Taylor started it by bringing up something not germane to the field. Crockett said, we want to go ahead and, she brought up the name of some person, and Jasmine kind of remind her what the hearing was all about. And she got upset because I guess she's not very intelligent. And, they just got her. It's that simple. This is not two ways of seeing this stuff. This is simple stuff, folks. This is simple stuff. This is very simple stuff. All right. Continuing. Carl Cox is here to say the MAGA GOP is full of super crap. Hey, Carl, congratulations on your graduation on the 17th. I hope you saw the show on the 17th, because we actually had a little card in there that was displayed on the screen for you. If you didn't see it, go back to Friday's show and check it out where we gave you some honors for completing your course. All right, let's see. E2247, IDF said it assesses that fighting in Gaza will last at least another 6 months to complete the end. That's ridiculous. All that means is that they're going to be killing people on the average daily basis, like brother E2247 has been displaying for some time to come. Government jobs are a cost, not revenue. Oh, Lord, I'm not going to go there. Michael Rosa, Eric, MTG started it, but that doesn't really matter. We don't need more gridlock in Congress. We won't get rid of gridlock in Congress until we elect a new Congress. Mike Cisak says, Paul Fleming, SS was supposed to be for mostly the poor, and so it was set up as an insurance policy run by the government. That's why it has an income cap. But seems leftists want to do away with rules and steal people's money. It's not stealing people's money. Those people who have all that money, ask them how they got it. But again, some people, for some reason, decide that they would refuse to think appropriately as far as how the economic system actually works. All right, so let's see what else we got here. E2247 says, Representative Mark Focan, one of the most strident critics of Israel's conduct in Gaza, said, if Netanyahu comes to address Congress, I would be more than glad to show the ICC the way to the House floor to issue that warrant. And I think that's exactly what they should do. It's time to arrest Netanyahu. Carl Cox says, I saw that. Thank you. I'm honored that you honored me for the major achievement. Well, that, in fact, Brother Carl Cox, was a major achievement. Like I said, I remembered when you were kind of not sure if you're going to complete it, and everybody in this PDR posse told you to hang in there. And guess what? You did it. You hung in there. You now have that degree that you yearn for, because that's what you wanted. You stuck with it. You hold on to it. All right. I want to play a piece that I did this morning on my show. It's a bit long, but it's worth listening to. It has to do with the Farm Bill. Check this out, and then we'll take it on the other side. Pro-corporate GOP Farm Bill decried. And that's where I want to start. Pro-corporate Farm Bill decried. And it's very important. You know, last week, what everybody was listening to is that Marjorie Taylor Greene and Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez and Jasmine Crockett, they got into a big, nasty argument that seemed like a Jerry Springer show. And if you look at TikTok and if you look at Facebook, if you look at Instagram, that's all those outtakes are there. And by the way, I'll have an outtake on that piece as well. Why will I have an outtake? Because it is something essential to show, right? While everybody is hyperventilating about this cat fight, two women going at it, the most intelligent thing done on that stage was something by our Congresswoman, Jasmine Crockett, who used, I mean, look, I know, yes, she called the lady by a bad adjective, but she used the way she did it as to show the ineptitude of the chairman, to show the hypocrisy of the chairman. And nobody that I saw, at least in either the news media, the feed, the morning shows, really got it. They didn't get what this woman did. So when they asked her on the morning shows, do you regret what you did? And she said no. The next thing was, look at how they are. And they don't even regret sounding like Jerry Springer, not understanding exactly what she did. But we'll talk about that later if we get a chance. The real story right now is the Farm Bill. But you see, that story distracted from the proposed farm write-up that's occurring in Congress. Nobody's talking about this boring thing called the Farm Bill, though it affects more people that actually saw that Jerry Springer moment in Congress. That's why we are here. That's why we've got KPFT and Politics Done Right. So that we can point out to folks, both our urban folks or suburban folks and our farm folks, what's really happening. Title of the article that I want to highlight from Common Dreams last night. It's GOP Farm Bill decried as pro-corporate, anti-family waste of everyone's time. And they came to this. I think they wrote this article on Friday. It was right after that mix-up. But it goes like this. Echoing early May criticism of House Republicans' blueprint for the next farm bill, anti-hunger and green groups on Friday fiercely condemned the GOP's discussion draft text of the Farm, Food, and National Security Act of 2024. That's where you get, how much people are going to get on SNAP, what kind of subsidies farms are going to get, etc. Released by the U.S. Committee on Agriculture Chair Glenn G.T. Thompson, Republican of Pennsylvania, the draft is competing with a Democratic proposal, Senate Agricultural, Nutritional, and Forestry Committee Chair Debbie Stabenow, Rural Prosperity and Food Security Act, while Thompson claimed that his bill is the product of extensive feedback from stakeholders and all members of the House, and is responsive to the needs of farm country through the incorporation of hundreds of bipartisan policies. Representative David Scott, Democrat of Georgia, the panel's ranking member, said the draft confirms his worst fears. Let's point out, because when we talk about stakeholders, a lot of times people don't know what we're talking about. When it comes to a farm bill, who are the stakeholders? The stakeholders are the big agri corporations. It is you, anyone receiving SNAP, anyone receiving food benefits, international relief agencies receiving food for, let's say to prevent starving in different places. By the way, if we can prevent starving in places where we were partially responsible for their starving, it means that we wouldn't have an immigration crisis and many other things of that nature. So all these things tie in. Your policy, the policies that you pass have effects long beyond the immediacy of the policy that's being written. So a person writing intelligent policy goes ahead and he looks through several levels of indirection. He or she says, all right, if I pass this, what happens? What then happens because of that other thing happening? You have to see what the cascading effects of your policies are. And it turns out, rural brothers and sisters, anybody listening to me that isn't in the big cities, etc., listen well, because this affects you. And the Republicans are not your friends. Remember, right here in Texas, they are doing what again? They're shutting down your hospitals with not accepting the Medicare expansion to the Affordable Care Act. Remember, they're shutting down your farms. And with this bill, we'll show you further. So as they speak about the conservative farmers supporting these Republican folks, remember who's taking money out of your pocket and food out of your mouth, and who are making sure that the monies that you get, the prices you get for your crops are lower than they should. How many farmers out there? Price of everything has gone up. The price of food, vegetables, everything is high. I would love if we were paying these high prices so that our farming brothers and sisters in rural America were making more money. If you were making that 30-something% or more that food prices has gone up over the last several years, if you were making the excess profits from that guy, I would kindly and happily say this is one place it's good for food prices to rise as our wages rise, because right now our wages are rising faster than inflation. So if that's the case, the inflation that I love is inflation that raised the prices of food, if that price is going towards getting a better way of life for our farmers, right? That's how it's supposed to work. Increase in food prices should mean an increase in wages for farmers, right? That's what it should mean. For people who are picking the fruit, for people who are growing the fruit, for people who invest in it. And that's what something like a budget, that what we're talking about here, the Farm Bill, that's what they're supposed to do. But señores, mis amigos y mis amigas, that's not what's happening. All right. House Republicans plan to pay for the Farm Bill by taking food out of the mouths of Americans' hungry children, restricting farmers from receiving the climate smart conservation funding they so desperately need, and barring the USDA from providing financial assistance to farmers in times of crisis, he warned, referring to the U.S. Department of Agriculture. Now, here's the deal. Our corporations, specifically, oil corporations, don't want anything done about green energy. They don't want to produce green energy. They don't, because digging up for oil and coal out of the ground is cheap. So their profit margin is huge. Green energy, until it's ramped up very well, it's not going to be there. So we continue to burn oil. We continue to burn all these things that create climate change. And in the process of creating climate change, you get more derechos, like we got here in Houston, that knocked out power for a whole lot of people. A lot of people are still without power. It causes damage. It causes hurricanes. It causes damaging winds that go through the crop of our breadbasket, and knocks down a large percentage of our brothers and sister farmers' crops. And in the process of still subsidizing these companies that damage our environment, and now removing subsidies from farmers, which would help during disasters like the derechos and the other problems that are created by our burning of fossil fuels, we are still subsidizing these companies as we go ahead and cut our farmers. And farmers, you're still voting Republican? You're still voting to support your demise? If you think this is some sort of a fluke, I'm going to jump from this article to another article. And this one is old, because this tells you the way of thinking. This one goes to the U.S. Agricultural Secretary, October 2nd, 2019, under former President Trump. The Trump administration message to small farmers: go big or go home. Sonny Perdue, President Trump's agricultural secretary, said Tuesday during a stop in Wisconsin that he doesn't know if the family dairy farm can survive as the industry moves toward a factory model. And you know that factory model, what happens to it? It's subsidized by your government, our tax dollars. In America, the big get bigger and the small go out, Perdue said after an appearance of the World Dairy Expo in Madison. I don't think in America for any small business, we have a guaranteed income or guaranteed profitability. No, we don't. Perdue's visit comes as Wisconsin dairy farmers are wrestling with a host of problems, including declining milk prices, rising suicide rates, and the transition to larger farms with hundreds of thousands of animals, and Mr. Trump's international trade wars. Let me tell you what the trade war did. The trade war told the milk farmer, because here's the deal. I already told you, we put in tariffs on China is the worst thing. When Trump did it, I decried it. And brother Biden is doing it now, and I'm decrying it. Let's give an example here. You put those tariffs on China, China gets pissed off. Just like we supposedly get pissed off because they are dumping steel here. What China said is, okay, you want to put tariffs on the steel? We'll simply stop buying milk. So my rural brothers and sisters, when those tariffs went on that Trump put on China, you know who paid the price? Every American paid more for products, but farmers could no longer sell milk. 43% decline in your milk. Okay? And what happens then is we went ahead and hear the people say, well, guess what? The family farm just can't survive. So he went to Wisconsin and said that. It behooves me how poor Democrats in Wisconsin were in campaigning appropriately to show what's happening with GOP policy that specifically hurt GOP and other supporters. We got to get better than that. We got to get smarter than that. So again, you have the agricultural secretary for Trump telling small farmers, hey guys, There's no room for you guys anymore. We can't. The trend is to get the bigger, not smaller. So the person who wants to have a small family farm and still play a part. And by the way, small family farms are the way to go. It is not more efficient than large farms because large farms take advantage with their size, but it's more sustainable. And why is it sustainable? Remember when we had the baby food crisis, when you concentrate into one factory, one owner, etc., when that one thing has a problem, it affects the entire system. When we have a whole hundreds of thousands of family farms and family cattling and family, all these things, we spread risk. What is supposed to be capitalism? The efficient allocation of resources. But guess what? The efficient allocation of resources can actually cause your demise. Yeah, big, huge factories are more expensive than running a whole lot of small factories, but it's very, very dangerous. So the Farm Bill continuing with the Farm Bill. Leaders at advocacy groups on Friday similarly slammed the Republican bill. T.Y. Jones, Cox Vice President for Food Assistance at the Center on Budget and Policy Priorities, reiterated her previous condemnation of GOP attempts to cut the benefits of hungry families, saying that this is unacceptable. Congress should reject it. I am pretty sure Congress will reject it if Americans are informed about not what's happening with Jasmine Crockett, not what's happening with MTG, not what's happening with Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, but the damage these companies are really doing to all of us. I bet most of you had no clue this disaster was occurring in Congress as we watch the spectacle, as we watch a spectacle of a Trump trial, as we watch the spectacle of Marjorie Greene Taylor, or Marjorie Taylor Greene, MTG, Marjorie Taylor Greene. But these are things as they keep us entertained. You know, there's this stuff called bread and circus. There's this thing. I was a member of the group called Move to Amend as a board member, and we went around the country and we had all these activities to try to make people aware of what's occurring. We were trying to get this passed the 28th Amendment, which says corporations are not people and money is not speech. And to do that, we figured we have to educate the population as to how their government works. Civics isn't taught in school hardly anymore. And there was this skit that one of our Utah Move to Amend did, where they talked about bread and circus. Keep you fed and entertained, and then they can do anything to you, which is where we're at right now. America, in as much as our food is expensive compared to how it was a few years ago, it's still the cheapest in the world, okay, relative to what we make. And here's the funny thing. The funny thing is that they give us cheap processed foods. They entertain us with these real, what they call it, real programs, reality-based programs, and things that don't make you think, just entertain you. You know, I remember every time I'm sitting down here blogging, if I accidentally turn from a news channel in the past and turn to a Jerry Springer, it's amazing how attractive Jerry Springer was for its decadence. That is what they want to do. Keep you entertained as they screw you. Keep you fed as they screw you. They screw the farmers and everything else. And this is not conjecture. This is just conjecture. All right. Now it's working. All right. It's not conjecture, folks. This stuff goes to sleep every so often. Anyway, so that was an important segment I did this morning at KPFT, and I figured I better play it here because I want folks to understand that all of these things are smoke and mirrors, and we have to get with the program. Anyway, folks, let me get back to reading. Let me save that off. Let me get back to reading what you guys are posting here. Bear with me as I move the screen Been doing some editing as you spoke. Okay, there we go. I'm scrolling up because the scroll has really gone to see what you guys have been saying. Going down, tariff away. Eric Hayes doesn't understand tariffs. So he says tariffs away, not understanding what it really does. But again, you can take the horse to the water, but you can't force a horse to drink, right? Anyway, Paul Fleming says, when the number of bedrooms in a home keeps parents from getting their kids back, these kids just sit in foster care and one family law attorney because mom and dad are working at Subway and can't afford a 4-bedroom house. Sad, right? Earlier, you brought out how much tax breaks these companies got. Even though the slave wages they pay, many of their employees are on welfare, food programs that we all pay for. So in effect, we are transferring our monies to rich people. And some people are happy with that. They're happy with that. All right. Let's see what else we got here. I'm scrolling down. We got, bear with me as I scroll. Carl Cox says, CSAC is wrong again. Conservatives think rape is God's will and don't want to punish. That's a sad statement, isn't it? Let's see what else we got here. Senator Tammy Duckworth should be in the lead of telling Biden to stand down from enabling genocide, but she ain't. She needs to. I agree with you. All right. We also have, let's see. I'm scrolling down. Netanyahu told Israeli lawmakers, we all need to stand united against the United States position that we shouldn't go into Rafah. That's a joke. Smoke and progressive mirrors. PDR posse and Biden should review and implement lessons in POTUS Kennedy's American University Peace Speech, 10 June 23. Its lessons are timeless. Thank you for pointing that out, E2247. All right. Mike Cisak, this is funny, says, it's so bad in blue cities, they've stopped recording crimes in large part so it looks like crime is going down. Yet blue cities are hollowing out. Just look at San Francisco, which is near bankruptcy. Notice, when the numbers finally come out to show that, in fact, crime rates are going down, the right wing, their head starts to explode because the narrative that they want to push is no longer there. So what's the answer? To say, oh, they stopped counting crimes. I don't think so. I just think you all are happy to be lied to. And when the numbers show that you've been lied to, you can't accept it. So they know that you'd believe anything that they tell you. So they say, oh, the reason blue cities look safer, the reason New York City is safer than Tallahassee, the reason New York City is safer than Oklahoma City, the reason New York City is safer than Tulsa, all of these are red cities. The reason New York City is safer than all these red cities. Let me tell you a secret. They're not counting their crimes. Come on, Mike Cisak, grow up. No, it's because of several reasons. One, the wild, wild west in the red where everybody and their mother has a gun, and you give people the opportunity to kill. Some people, especially that are mentally disturbed, are going to do just that. All right? Just remember that. Period. Punto y final. All right, let's go to the second video. I love this one. This one is the one that we've been talking about. Egberto, Mike C. regurgitates crap from the evidence-free zone that is his social media bubble. He's ranting away, probably red-faced right now. Of course, because the lies that they've been told is falling apart. And that's the reason I'm talking about a landslide, Michael Rudnin, because we have to make the lies that's been told to guys like CSAC come tumbling down. It's not going to change CSAC. It's not going to change Eric Hayes. They have a certain prejudice that wants them to believe these things because it blows up their entire something hood. If they realize they've been lied to and they were gullible enough to accept it. So how do you go against that? Again, so they have to, they forget their thinking process. They forget math. They forget logical thinking. I can't help that. But as a host with several programs, blogs, books, etc., it's not my job to try to work psychologically with, let's say, Brother Eric Hayes or Brother Lee Grant or Brother CSAC, who are allowed lies to permeate their psyche. I have to go with the people that are willing to change your mind. But I'm just glad that they are here. But I must work with people who are willing to look at facts and say, oh my God, I guess I had been snowed at some point. I'm glad you're back from the vet, Bruce. Thank you for being here. And thank you for your support this morning, Bruce. It's been well appreciated, my dear brother. So again, politics done right is for everybody. Everybody won't drink, but whenever they decide to drink, we will be here. Whenever they decide to allow themselves to hear some truths, we will be here. Everybody remains my brothers and my sisters, but I won't allow their misinformation generating engines to influence you. I will always be a backstop to the crap. All right, let's go ahead and do the Marjorie Taylor Greene thing and hear what I have to say about that. Let's get busy. By now, everybody have heard about the Jerry Springer moment in the committee attempting to discuss the Attorney General Garland issue with releasing the president's tapes. That sort of silly stuff, right? But anyhow, it turns out that Marjorie Taylor got personal with Jasmine Crockett. And in the process, AOC attempted to force the removal of her words. The Republicans didn't vote to support that. And one of the reasons they didn't vote to support that is that if they went ahead and struck her words, she would have had to leave the committee room. They wanted to have her vote. So they pretty much ignored it. But I think in the long run, they allowed her to go ahead and say, I'd like to take back my words. OK, but it was not a movement to officially strike her words. Everybody's talking about what Crockett had to say. Crockett asked a specific question about bleach blonde, bad built, butch body. But she did it in a special way. And that is what needs to be talked about, not just the flair around it, but the calculated manner in which Jasmine Crockett did it so that made it to the record. I want you to check this out and we'll take it on the other side.
You know we're here about
I don't think you know what you're here for.
Well, you the one talking about.
I think your fake eyelashes are messing up.
No, ain't nothing.
Hold on.
Listen.
Order.
Mr. Chairman.
That's beneath even order.
I would like to move to take down Ms. Greene's words. That is absolutely unacceptable. How dare you, a full appearance of another person.
Are your feelings hurt?
Her words down.
Oh,
girl, baby girl.
Oh, really?
Don't even play.
I'm just curious, just to better understand your ruling. If someone on this committee then starts talking about somebody's bleach blonde, bad built butch body, that would not be engaging in personalities, correct?
What now?
Late night committee meeting in Congress went off the rails this week after Congresswoman Marjorie Taylor Greene, Republican of Georgia, insulted the appearance of my next guest, Congresswoman Jasmine Crockett, Democrat of Texas. Thanks so much for being here. Do you think that Congresswoman Greene should face any sort of punishment?
I mean, she didn't face any at the time, so I don't anticipate that she'll face any in general. I mean, I think that this speaker should be inclined to try to rein her in after trying to kick him out of his position. But they just let Marjorie do whatever she wants to do. And I think this was the first time that someone actually said, no, you won't just treat me whatever way you want to and get away with it.
So just to explain to our viewers, she said what she said, which is a personal attack on your appearance. And then the Republicans refused to take her words away.
Yeah.
Because they said it wasn't a personal attack. And then you said something about, you didn't mention her name, but you obviously were talking about Congresswoman Greene, bleach blonde, bad built, butch body.
Very good.
So it's tough to say. But you've really embraced what you said. You're printing it on swag. I think we have an image of the shirt here that you're selling to help raise money to elect Democrats. How would you respond to say it's inappropriate to respond to an attack on somebody's physical appearance? And you hear Congresswoman AOC say, you shouldn't be attacking somebody's physical appearance, but then you did the same thing. You attacked her physical. So to be clear, what I asked for was clarification on the ruling. If her words were taken down, that meant that she was going to have to leave the committee for the evening, which actually would have helped everybody out because the source of the chaos is always Marjorie Taylor Greene. But the chairman was concerned about his votes. He was concerned about whether or not he would be able to move forward with contempt. And so therefore, for the Attorney General Garland.
Absolutely. Yeah. So therefore, I'm like, what are we doing? So what are the parameters? And I generally wanted to know. So I did not state anything to her. I specifically asked a question and I didn't even mention her name. Mm-hmm. And so it was for clarification. And that's what I asked for. And he obviously didn't hear me.
Okay. Yeah. And I hear that. But she went after your appearance and then you went back at her 1,000-fold.
I did in a very lawyerly way.
But obviously she started it. I'm not disputing that. But do you regret that at all? I mean,
don't.
You don't?
I don't. Because here's the thing. I signed up to be a member of Congress. That didn't mean that I was supposed to walk into a position where I'm going to walk in and be disrespected. It's already a hostile work environment being there. And we do have rules. The problem with MAGA is that MAGA does not respect rules, nor do they respect the law. That is exactly why they're all running up to Trump's trial, because he's in trouble, not because of some big conspiracy by the Biden administration. He's in trouble because he fails to respect the law. The reason that the Supreme Court right now is debating whether or not Trump can commit crimes or any president can commit crimes and then be let off is because they have no respect for law. The party of law and order is gone at this point in time.
Now, I'm pretty sure that statement that Crockett made has to stay on the record. But why is this an issue? If you take a look at the back and forth, there are longer clips that are out there where Republicans on one side are trying to tell Jasmine Crockett, calm down, take it easy. Republicans and the MAGA Republicans are great at doing things that whenever it's done on to them becomes the end of the world. And because they are in power in Congress, they get away with it. But Jasmine Crockett got the upper hand here. And while people may not initially see exactly what she did, it shows her degree of intelligence. I mean, what she did, while Marjorie Taylor addressed Crockett directly and made a personal attack on Crockett directly, what Crockett did was use the rules of Congress to simply ask a question. If somebody were to call another person bleach blonde, bad built, butch body, would that be something that would be stricken from the record? It's a question. It's a legal question to the board. It's a question about rules in the committee. So everybody's going to know that Marjorie Taylor, who constantly insults people on that committee, that an insult that was only directed at her to just sort of let her, just to show some fight back, was going to make it to the record. Because Miss Crockett, Congresswoman Crockett, never called her those words. But everyone knows who those words apply to. And this is not petty. This is about pushing back. Too often, Democrats just stay back and take. And whenever they do it, they go against their own. And this time around, Crockett said, nope, I'm going to do this. And when Jake Tapper said, are you sorry that you did what you did? She said, hell no, I'm not sorry I did that. That is what needed to be done there. Sometimes you have to fight in a manner that isn't the way that you normally do. But in this case, Jasmine Crockett deserves a whole lot of kudos and oomph. And that she goes ahead and makes a T-shirt about it is even more important. And let me tell you why. Because the MAGA Republicans have become a soundbite system. In order to make a point, they go on Congress, say something that they know is going to be explosive, then turn it into marketing material. And Democrats rarely do such something of that sort. It's good now that Crockett and others say we'll fight fire with fire. May not be pretty, but we are not going to cede anything to you.
We spend a lot of time deconstructing the news, trying to parse it into a form that everybody can understand. We try to find those little nitpicks where it flies above the fray, etc. If you really like these videos that we do, I want to ask a big favor. Please go ahead. Number 1, subscribe to our channel. And number 2, please join if you can. Thank you so kindly for watching. Keep watching. Please remember to share. We must populate the entire internet with our progressive message, a message that we know is what most Americans say that they want. So help us, please join.
By now, everybody. And you know what, folks? We are winning. Don't be scared by the polls. I am speaking to people all over this country, and I can tell you something. For the people that are going to go out there and vote, for the people that care about humanity, for the people that care about learning, all of these things, ultimately, we are winning. The media likes a fight. The media likes to have confrontation. But for the people that matter, things are changing. Remember that. Things are, in fact, changing. E2247 says, Jasmine Crockett, Texas 30, sits on the Agriculture and Oversight and Accountability. She's legislatively alert and she's courageous. Plus, she is wonderful. I've interviewed her 3 times. If you go to politicsdoneright.com and put her name in there, you can find the interviews that I've done with her. About 3 or 4 times I've interviewed her. I'm trying to get one. In fact, I think let me see if she texted back. I've been trying to get her, but, you know, I am just a small news organization. So it's harder for them to break their schedule for Politics Done Right. But hey, maybe let's see if she answered me yet. No, I don't have an answer yet, but I'm hoping that to get her in. She haven't even read it yet. So maybe they're kind of monitoring her stuff. You know how that goes sometimes. But anyway, folks, we are at 53, which is near the end of the program. So let's go ahead and start doing my ask. I donated to her run for the House and doing it again. That's a good thing. She is a progressive fighter. She goes out there and fights. She doesn't sit back like a bunch of the other weenies and just take it. I was so impressed with how she went toe to toe. Both her, I like the young ones. Maxwell from Florida, Lee Summers from Summer Lee from Pennsylvania, Philadelphia, AOC from New York. What's her name? Bush from Missouri. Maxwell from Florida, and there's another one. There's another young person. I'm so impressed with the young ones. Of course, you know I really like Ilhan Omar from Minnesota and Rashida Tlaib from Michigan. That's our future. Katie Porter, but she's no longer there because she went with she didn't win in the Senate. But we have a lot of young Congress people that are not taking the crap as others have before. Cory Bush, that's who I was talking about from Missouri. And there are some other state ones that I've interviewed. Kabila from Georgia, quite a few young people coming up. And these are the ones who represent our future. That is what That's the type of policies that that's going to take America to the next level, as opposed to a plutocracy that is ripping us off, a plutocracy that's making us all poor. They are the ones that are going to grab the bull by the horn. Anyway, folks, please support the program. How can you do that? The first way that you can do it is to please become first of all, you can find all the ways to assist our program by going to politicsdoneright.com/support, politicsdoneright.com/support. We need patrons, so you can become a patron by going to politicsdoneright.com/patron. Patron is spelled Patreon, politicsdoneright.com/patreon. You can also get our books. We have several books. I'm going to put those on the screen right now. To get our books, I'll tell you a little bit about the books in a minute, but please consider getting our one or more of our many books. You can get all our books at politicsdoneright.com/books, politicsdoneright.com/books. But here is what I am asking everybody. By the way, if you want to see all the work that we do, you can go to politicsdoneright.com/info, politicsdoneright.com. That connects you to all our social media platforms, all our access to all our books. I made that page to present the entire picture of what Politics Done Right does in one place. So you can find about our books, our stores, our links, our social media, everything in one place. Thank you very much, Michael. He says, I hope you talk about the Iran helicopter crash and Governor Abbott tomorrow. We'll see what I can do depending on what the subjects are. And likewise, what I'd like everybody to do, however, I send out a newsletter at least once a day for our morning program, but sometimes I include blogs later on in the day. Please consider being a paid subscriber of our newsletter by going to politicsdoneright.com/newsletter. I put it in the chat, politicsdoneright.com/newsletter. And if you become a paid subscriber, it's like, a coffee, right? Consider doing that. That is how we can continue to do what we do here. This is how we can continue to do what we do. politicsdoneright.com/newsletter. Anyway, got to get out of here. My name is Egberto Willies. This is Politics Done Right. And you guys know how I end this baby. I am what? Out.
We spend a lot of time deconstructing the news, trying to parse it into a form that everybody can understand. We try to find those little nitpicks where it flies above the fray, etc. If you really like these videos that we do, I want to ask a big favor. Please go ahead, number 1, subscribe to our channel, and number 2, please join if you can. Thank you so kindly for watching. Keep watching. Please remember to share. We must populate the entire internet with our progressive message, a message that we know is what most Americans say that they want. So help